Hello and welcome to Two Tiers Deep, the Women's Cricket Weekly Show, with me, Rosa Simpkin.
And me, Chloe Hill.
I'm the journalist, working in all the tiers of women's cricket.
And I'm the cricketer, currently playing in the game.
We saw a gap in the market, mainly from a Tier 2 coverage perspective. So we thought, why not start a podcast? To start with, we probably should explain something to you, which, otherwise, none of this will make any sense. Last year, the ECB announced Project Darwin, a project to hand the game back to the 18 counties, split into 3 tiers. Tier 1 is the professional level, consisting of the Blaze, Durham, Essex, Lancashire, Hampshire, Somerset, Surrey and Warwickshire. I could go into the depths about why the Blaze aren't knots, but we'll leave that for another time.
And Tier 2 counties are made up of Derbyshire, Glamorgan, Gloucestershire, Kent, Leicestershire, Middlesex, Northamptonshire, Sussex, Worcestershire and Yorkshire.
And then Tier 3 are the national counties.
Before we get started on today's episode, I'd like to give a shout out to our leading partner, Her Game 2. Her Game 2 Cricket partnered the Rose Talks Ball podcast and all the branches of the show, including Two Tiers Deep. Her Game 2 aims to spread a message of hope and equality throughout sport. Initially only in football, they have recognised that discrimination towards women and girls in sport is not limited only to football, so they have expanded into other sports, including cricket, where they can support, encourage and inspire women in the game. If you'd like to find out more about the work they are doing, you can find them online through their website, hergame2.co.uk/cricket, or you can find them on social media by searching for Her Game 2 Cricket. Thank you as always to Her Game 2 for their support of the podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Two Tiers Deep podcast. And Chloe, a lot has happened in the world of cricket as far as England are concerned in recent times. However, first of all, how are you? How is Dubai?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Dubai's good, getting into a bit more of a routine of cricket, coaching, I guess living a little bit of the Dubai life of the sunbathing. But also this week probably explored a little bit more of Dubai in terms of going to visit the desert a little bit and go and explore other areas instead of the main tourist attractions. How has your week been?
A lot less sunny than yours. That is for sure. The rain has hit Cardiff officially. I've got away with it for a good few weeks, but it's come. It's oh, and I haven't quite adjusted to wearing a coat everywhere yet, and I don't know why. And I keep getting stranded in uni buildings, not having a coat, and then having to walk home and pissing it down rain. So that sums up my life at the moment.
Nice. I mean, I don't really have those problems. I think I brought my denim jacket with me to Dubai, and that's about it. No coats. The jumper that I travelled in, maybe a spare cardigan or jumper, but no, just loving sun. But also the clocks have changed in England as well, so you are now 4 hours behind me. So just to let everyone know, while we're recording, it's currently 20 to 2 in the afternoon here. And what is it with you, 20 to 10 in the morning? And you probably not long woken up?
As you know, that's an understatement. Just to add to our shambles of the podcast, time differences, for some reason 3 hours felt like really easy, and it going to 4 is like, whoa.
Yeah, 4 hours stresses me out because your afternoon is when it's probably like perfect for us to do something, but your afternoon for me is when I'm out coaching and in the evenings and then dinner, and so I feel like this is probably a perfect time of the day at the moment to get it done. Thankfully, the clocks don't change or the time difference changes again. So 4 hours we'll have to make do for now.
Can I just say on the weather, it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks when you get off the plane when you arrive back here in December.
I know, I don't even want to think about that. I think I'm going to mentally prepare myself with jogging bottoms, a jumper, and maybe a hot cup of tea ready.
I'd love a cup of tea. Anyway, a lot has happened for England and not much of it very good. I feel like we should also say we're recording this as the second semi-final between India and Australia is taking place. So if we randomly cut in with and Littrell's gone for a duck, can you imagine? Not happened. That's why.
Yeah, but let's, I guess, talk about the disappointment of England yesterday against South Africa in the first semi-finals. And what can we say? South Africa, well done. Like, that was a clinical performance from South Africa compared to, what was it, 5 weeks ago? I've lost track now when the World Cup started, but that first opening match with England against Australia, where England bowled South Africa out for 69, for South Africa to post 319. And we should probably highlight a few players from South Africa in this match.
We certainly should. But the thing I really liked about their win is it's their first ODI World Cup final. But you wouldn't know. They were so calm after the game because they know the job is not done yet. I think they probably got a little bit carried away last time out in the T20, but this time round they know they've still got a job to do. They're going to be facing either India or Australia. That's a tough ask.
Yeah, and if South Africa turn up how they did yesterday against England in the semi-finals, I think regardless if it's India or Australia, we are going to see a serious final on our hands, especially if the likes of Laura Wolvaardt and Marizanne Kapp step up again and perform for South Africa.
I mean, I guess just to run through some of the highlights for South Africa, the obvious one, the easy one to talk about, Laura Wolvaardt opening the batting with 169. It was beautiful. It was sensational. We'll get into that a bit more in a second. Tasmin Britt's also opening with 45, Marizanne Kapp with 42, and Chloe Tryon with 33 not out. Bowling-wise, there isn't too much to talk about. Lauren Bow did have a handy 2 for 55 from 10. Sophie Eccleston was the obvious standout, however, with 4 for 44 from her 10 overs. And I've got a stat here that says that during Sophie Eccleston's 2 bowling spells, South Africa scored 81 for 6 in 18 overs. Outside of it, 238 for 1 in 32 overs. That's quite significant.
Wow. And if you think did she bowl her full 10 overs in that first match? I can't remember, but like if you think about it as if she's bowling her full allocated overs, like 20 overs for 6 wickets, yeah, 81 runs at one end. Yeah, that's crazy. I think we should probably also highlight as well, fair play to her for playing with the injury she got in the last game. I think it was highlighted in a conversation, probably from Charlotte Edwards or Nat Silver-Brunt, that it's a knockout match. So Beckham was always going to play, even though her shoulder probably wasn't at her full fitness. But for her to come out and take 4 wickets in a semi-final and be the pick of the bowlers for England, I think, yeah, take hats off to her.
Completely agree. But Laura Wolvaardt was definitely the star, and you would not have known that it was a World Cup semi-final. She was out for revenge regarding that opening game.
Oh, honestly, when I turned the telly on and watched her start the match and the first 2 balls went for 4 out the middle of her bat through cover, I was like, wow, we're probably on for a special display of batting by Laura Wolvaardt. And then for her to go and get 169, and probably just like to reiterate, last time out, the whole team only scored 69 runs. So she's gone above and beyond herself to score another 100 runs on top of that, plus the contribution from the other batters. But as well, to like be a captain, open the batting, and go and produce a big total like that, I think just shows the maturity levels on she is such a young leader still, and how exciting that she gets to take South Africa into the finals now.
If you can't tell, we love a stat here at the 2 Tiers Deep podcast, and I'm going to give you another one. Let's look at the chase. England would have required their record ODI chase in order to overcome South Africa. So imagine my surprise, Chloe, when I get back. I can't remember what I was doing, probably something irrelevant. I shut down on the notification on my phone and it tells me England are 5-3. And then I look at BBC and all three of the openers have gone for ducks.
Yeah, my reaction was the same. I was out yesterday afternoon when this was happening, and then I flicked on my phone to have a look and to see all three openers out for a duck and think, oh God, this chase isn't happening. And to be honest, I think when we lost the first 3 wickets in the space of 5 runs, I think we probably all thought straight away then we're not chasing 319 runs.
Not even in the space of 5 runs, we were 1-3. We were 1-3.
Yeah. And also, I guess if you look at it as well, which I thought was quite funny, is that Tammy Bowman got a first ball duck, Amy Jones second ball duck, and Heather Knight a third ball duck. So we have literally covered all bases with our top order there. I do think it's quite sad as well, because I think Heather Knight's had a fantastic tournament for England. So for her to finish, I guess, this World Cup with a duck and not scoring is quite sad. But obviously we saw Nat Brunt step up as captain again with 64, and I think to our surprise with how she's gone in other matches, Alice Capsey with a 50 as well. And don't get me wrong, like, she's a talented cricketer, but I think there's potentially conversations with, should she have been playing every single match? Are there other options? Could Danny White have come in a little bit earlier? Obviously, we saw Sophia Dunkley move down the batting order. And then Emma Lamb as well, obviously being switched out for Danny White. So, I mean, whatever starting 11 Charlotte Edwards goes with, obviously we're going to back and support and hope they do well on the pitch. But I think there's still questions over potentially what was the best starting 11 for England, I guess, going into that semi-final.
I completely agree with you. And before we dissect that a little bit more, a quick shout out to Lindsay Smith and Lauren Bell, who at the back end, they just decided to have a bit of fun. And it was quite entertaining just watching Lindsay Smith hitting fours everywhere. But we have to talk about Marizanne Kapp. My word. We know she's a legend. It's obvious, but 5 for 20. She didn't even bowl her full allocation. She only bowled 7 overs in a World Cup semi-final. Absolute scenes, honestly.
I know. I was thinking as well when they're doing the player of the match. Obviously, you'd like to think, and you probably are going to give it to Laura Wolvaardt, and she did get player of the match. But Marizanne Kapp, 5 for 20 off 7 overs with 3 maidens, and also contributing 42 with the bat. What a serious semi-final performance that is from Marizanne Kapp, and I just hope that she sort of reenacts this in the final on Sunday. And I guess we all know what a superstar she is in the women's game, and how good she's been at the top of her peak for such a long time. So yeah, I think if South Africa can go out exactly how they did against England, they're going to be a force to reckon with in the final.
I completely agree with you there. To run through the bowlers, Kaka got 1, de Klerk got 2, Malaba got 1, Luce also got 1, as they bowled England out for 194, winning by 125 runs. But let's focus on England. Do a little bit of a post-mortem, as one of my friends said yesterday. First of all, on that best 11 point you were making, question marks have been raised, and I think one of the areas for me that I was most baffled about is Emma Lamb. You've got this player who has spent the whole summer opening the batting and has been explosive for Lancashire and also Birmingham Phoenix towards the start of the hundreds, scoring century after century, 50 after 50, all the boundaries on earth. And she was playing at 5/6. I don't understand the logic there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think for me, Emma Lamb's been fantastic at the top of the order for Lancashire, and for Birmingham Phoenix as well in the 100. And she's sort of rebranded herself the last few years. Obviously losing her central contract, was it 2 years ago? And then obviously going back to Lancashire, had a bit of a back injury. And then, yeah, she's just come back as this serious opening batter. And she scored a ridiculous amount of runs for Lancashire. I can't remember what's the stat, not 10,000, or is it, no, what is it? 1,000 plus? I don't know. Something ridiculous. 10,000 sounds like a lot. But she's done that all through the domestic season. So I'm questioning, and I'm probably a little bit disappointed that where she was batting in that lineup. And it does make a difference if you're known and you're used to being an opening batter week in, week out, and then all of a sudden you're going in at 5 and 6. Your pre-match routine changes. You're obviously sitting, waiting in the dugout to go in next. You don't have that as an opening batter. There's so many different dynamics that changes, and yeah, that probably did play a part. And I guess you've probably seen that as well with probably Danny Wyatt and Sophia Dunkley. Sophia Dunkley opens the batting for Surrey when she's around. So I understand batters and players need to be flexible nowadays and learn to bat in different positions. But I think Emma Lamb should have been at the top of the order. And Amy Jones has done a fantastic job. But for me, she isn't an opening batter.
The other thing that makes it more baffling is the fact that Amy Jones has so much experience batting in that position. So why not just swap them? I know that Edwards has made a decision that Beaumont and Jones are her opening pair in 50 over cricket. But sometimes in a tournament, it's, especially when Amy Jones was struggling a lot of the time at the top of the order, it's worth making that swap. And the other one, Sarah Glenn, I don't understand Edwards' point of view on Sarah Glenn. She took a fifer against Australia in the warm-up game, which was absolutely mega, and we were like, surely she plays, surely she gets a look in. She only played that game when Eccleston wasn't fit, and also performed, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, obviously, Sarah Glenn, she's not a big turner of the ball, but she's been so successful for England for so many years now. As that first choice leg spinner, and I guess this has probably come as a bit of a setback for her as well, not being out on the park with that playing 11 week in, week out. And I mean, that obviously might reflect in the movements that she's not transitioning, but moving from the Blaze to Yorkshire for next domestic season. So are we going to see a few questions around maybe like central contracts, or is she just going to maybe bat a bit higher and sort of come back as a bit of an all-round cricketer, like an all-rounder? I don't know, but yeah, Edwards seems to have, I guess, her own opinions on some of these players, as we've seen as well with Kate Cross, sort of being excluded from this England team now.
On the note of Kate Cross, that was a very good transition from you. Central contracts. The announcement usually comes around November, December time. And we're going to have a look at them because I reckon there might be a few changes. For context, for the first time last year, not all of the women's players signed 1-year deals. So there are players who are on multi-year deals. On 2-year contracts are Lauren Bell, Charlie Dean, Sophie Eccleston, Amy Jones, Heather Knight, Nat Silverbrunt, and Danny Wyatt-Hodge. Probably exactly what you'd expect, to be fair. But then on 1-year contracts and the potential at risk are Tammy Beaumont, Mai Boucher, Alice Capsey, Kate Cross, who we already know has lost her central contract, Sophia Dunkley, Lauren Filer, Mahika Gore, Danny Gibson, Sarah Glenn, Freya Kemp. And then we've got development contracts, which are also 1 year, which are Bess Heath, Rihanna McDonald-Gay, and Izzy Wong.
Yeah, I think the key highlights for me are probably focusing on the 1-year central contracts. I mean, we can obviously look at the development contracts and talk about those and maybe highlight some domestic players who probably deserve those. But if we're looking at the 1-year central contracts, obviously in this or not in this World Cup, Maya Boucher hasn't been included, Kate Cross hasn't been included, Lauren Filer, Mahika Gore, Danny Gibson, and Freya Kemp. So that's 6 players who, I guess, is there questions maybe about their future in an England shirt, and I guess we're starting to see as well domestic teams are announcing these players staying until 2026 or 2027. So, for example, Danny Gibson has been announced by Somerset that she's staying there for another year. Is that a new like contract negotiation chat sort of thing, or I guess we're going to find out probably in the next coming week what's happening with the contracts. But I guess I sort of like the way that Kate Cross was able, or she did, just announce it herself to the public instead of waiting for that day when it comes out through the ECB who's got contracts. And I guess hopefully, obviously all the girls will know by now, but hopefully they're all being supported for the ones that are losing contracts. And I guess we'll find out if there are any more apart from Kate Cross.
I think we'll have a certain level of a lot of those pace bowlers who are returning from injury. And I raised the fact that Katie George kept her England contract for several years after she played for England. There will be a level of protecting them. We might see a bit of a swap between the development contracts and the central contracts. I'd be surprised if Izzy Wong didn't go back on a central contract again, as an example, get that promotion. From what I'm aware of, I'm pretty sure Amarlot has signed a central contract already. So as far as that's concerned, that means we're going to have players dropping out. I think Sarah Glenn was the other one we discussed a lot. It's quite hard to know what Edwards thinks of her, but there's potential for a lot to change.
Sorry, I've just seen that there's been a wicket that Healy is
out. And it's raining now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. 25 for 1. So, yeah. I'm slightly behind in Dubai, just for the listeners. But, yeah, Healy's out, 25 for 1, and they're off for rain. So, hopefully we're not going to see another World Cup match be affected, or they won't abandon it. There's obviously a reserve day. But I guess if they are off for a while, that they're probably going to reduce overs. But yes, going back to Sarah Glenn is obviously such a big, I guess we've spoken about it quite a lot, and Edwards sort of isn't including her in any playing 11s. I mean, it's nice that she's out in that World Cup squad, and she by rights earns her position to be out with England in that squad. So, yeah, questions probably are with her and where her cricket's going. Her move to Yorkshire could be an absolutely fantastic move for her. And to be honest, I hope it is. And then, obviously, we've got the likes of Freya Kemp, who's been returning from a back injury. So we've only really seen her as a batter this year. But she's off to the Big Bash. And Danny Gibson as well with her stress fracture, her back injury. So we've got two very powerful all-rounders in Danny Gibson and Freya Kemp, who I'd be surprised if they lost their England contract, just because we know how destructive they can be as an all-round package. But yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting to see what happens to the other players on the one-year contract. And if we look at the development contracts as well, I probably would say Rhiannon McDonald-Gay she'll probably stay with that. I know she obviously finished the season with Surrey with a back injury herself, so I'd like to think they're supporting her. And then I guess for me, Bess Heath's probably gone under the radar this season, or of not performing and not being a standout player. So will we eventually see a new development contract for a wicketkeeper batter come into light in the next few weeks?
It is the $1 million question. You mentioned there the rain, and this is not something we've spoken about particularly, but I think it's something we should speak about. This World Cup has been so heavily affected by no results, and that was inevitable because, for those who don't know, it's his monsoon season in Sri Lanka, and we're playing half of the World Cup in Sri Lanka. Also at baffling times. So in Sri Lanka's time zone, the games were being played kind of mid-afternoon into the night as day-nighters, whereas the rain comes in the evenings. So if they were playing them in the morning into the evening, they probably would have had results. I feel the ICC just honestly, baffle me. They do this all the time, and I don't understand how these things aren't thought about.
I mean, I feel like the people in a position of power probably aren't, what's the right way to put it, like cricket smart common sense. They're people who I guess are looking at how to generate revenue in terms of marketing and ticketing and sales instead of the smart decision to make sure we get a World Cup result every single game, which we've seen so many games, especially in Sri Lanka, like as you mentioned in monsoon season, so many games being abandoned. And I feel rather sorry for, I guess, Pakistan, because obviously they played all of their games there. New Zealand were affected heavily, and on the talks of New Zealand, I guess, that's probably not the way that Sophie Devine wants to end her 50 over international career, with half of her World Cup matches being rain affected.
I mean, Sophie Devine is an absolute legend. People don't need us to tell them that. The tributes to her after the game were lovely. I thought that was very well done. But I hope she does stick around for a good few more years, playing T20 cricket, playing some franchise stuff, because she's still, I mean, I raised how much we were talking about her during the 100. She was absolutely tearing up the 100. So I'd love to see her stay around the game for a while longer.
Yeah, and I think she's obviously mentioned that she's not retired from T20 international cricket yet. She's just retiring from 50 over cricket. And obviously, as we know, the T20 World Cup is next year. So I presume we're obviously probably going to see her in that. And then who knows, that potentially could be her retirement altogether with New Zealand cricket, and who knows, are we going to see the same with Susie Bates as well? Obviously, she hasn't announced anything after this 50 over World Cup, but there obviously potentially are talks of Sophie Devine and Susie Bates. I know you're obviously screaming no at me, but I guess it's probably the reality we're probably going to see.
I genuinely don't know what New Zealand do at that point, but I guess that's a question for their selectors to work out. We also need to talk about, we've currently got a semi-final on in the background. Shock, it's raining. But there have been some injuries. Alyssa Healy was unfit for the last game. She has come in for this game against India. She's already out. Did you see the wicket? It was a very good ball. It was beautiful, middle stump, work of art. But I'd say the headline is India. Shafali Verma called into the squad as an injury replacement. Her first ODI call-up in a year, straight into the 11.
Yeah, I mean, we all saw, I guess, glimpses on social media that she was going to be the player to come straight in, and instead of other players who I guess have been on the bench and should walk into that role. So I hope that we see that she's going to have an impact today, because obviously she is a destructive batter. And I saw some videos of her in the nets the other day, obviously training with India after joining up with the squad, and it does look like she's sort of recreated her game a little bit, like sweeps, paddles. It's not all just looking to hit the ball 100 miles an hour out the park. So hopefully we are seeing probably a maturer Shafali Verma out in the middle, especially her game as we know it is probably T20. So 50 over cricket, she has got so many extra balls to go out and face and take advantage of. And yeah, if she gets going, it could be a quite exciting watch.
Let's step away from the World Cup. We could talk about it all day, but it's time to have a look back at England. I know, it's October, nearly November. It will be November by the time you are listening to this. But we have had some domestic contract announcements, mainly from Somerset. We'll start there. That's probably easiest. You mentioned Danny Gibson earlier. Danny Gibson and Charlie Dean, their England duo, have both signed contract extensions. Gibson until the end of 2026 and Dean until the end of 2027. Domestically, Jess Hazel has also signed a contract extension until the end of 2026. Looking at tier 2 as well, Worcestershire. They've been bold, they've gone big. It's October. They've announced their full squad for the 2026 season. It's a tad baffling, I think it's safe to say. I understand from their point of view, they're probably thinking, announce a squad now, spend the whole winter preparing for next season. Wonderful. A lot can change between now and April. It feels quite early.
You're right. A lot could change between now and the start of the season in terms of players, in terms of support staff, in terms of coaches. Who knows? Like there could be an absolute change up between now and the start of the season. So I think it certainly is a big, bold move to announce the playing squad and your loanies and things like that, especially when you've got such young I guess girls who are on academies and you're pinpointing them saying they're on loan to us. What happens if a bigger and better opportunity comes around and they could then potentially be knocking on the door to a tier 1 first team sort of gig? Yeah, baffling to me, to be honest. I guess I'll let you say a little bit more about it and then I can add some more if need be.
I agree with the younger player thing. I think I'd be surprised if Bryony Gilgaras didn't pick up a Warwickshire contract just based on how her season's gone. Even if it's a rookie, we call them rookie contracts. We do in cricket, don't we? I'm covering too many sports at the moment. Even if it's just kind of a rookie type thing, just to tie her over, because she did look pretty unbelievable over the summer.
Just like to add into that, if we look at the retained list and the retained loans and the new signings and the promotions, and also the post they did the other day about players releasing, there's no Phoebe Brett on any of them. So to me, is Phoebe Brett now a Warwickshire player full time? That's probably something that we potentially might have to look out for in the next coming weeks or social media posts. But she's not on the retained list. She's not on the retained loans. And obviously she wasn't on the announcement of released players as well from Worcestershire. So for such a young, successful left-arm spinner, who I guess made her Warwickshire professional debut this season, are we about to see some exciting news for her?
That was a good spot from you. I had not noticed that. That's a bit baffling. I feel like if they've done that under Warwickshire's instruction not to say anything, in effect they have said something by not including her on either list. It might be they don't know for sure yet. If so, why not wait to announce both of those things? It's October. It's a long time until the season starts. I'm still emotionally recovering from the last one. Let's not talk about the next one yet. Like, it's a long way to go. I mean, I think it's probably very likely she signs a contract with Warwickshire. She was unbelievable for them. But that is a good spot. There is something we need to address, and that is after just shy of 100 appearances for Worcestershire, you have officially departed the club. I mean, I'm going to give you the floor because this is completely your news.
Yeah, I mean, obviously disappointing with how things have been handled this season at Worcestershire. Yeah, Worcestershire's obviously been like a home for me since I was 16, 17, I think, when I joined. I think 17. Obviously grew up playing my pathway cricket at Buckinghamshire, was really successful, and then got recruited by, at the time, was Jason Yip, who was the head coach of Worcestershire Women, back in the days where the county women's structure used to be in 4 divisions, and Worcestershire being in Division 1 and Division 2. And Bucks played against them. And yeah, I performed and I think I scored like a 50 or something against them in a T20. And at the time they needed a wicketkeeper batter. So yeah, it was obviously really proud moment to sort of get recruited by Worcestershire and then join and then be like a home from home for the last nine years. Obviously captained 4 years. We won 2 trophies under my leadership, and obviously we've seen promotions when it was those 4 divisions. We went to Division 1. We also had a season where we were in Division 1 and Division 3, back into Division 2. And yeah, I think all in all, it's quite a tough pill to swallow. The situation that's happened this year, certain things I still can't get my head around, and hopefully I will get my closure correctly after speaking with certain people. But yeah, it's probably not the way that I thought my season was going to go after stepping out of the professional game. At the end of last season, I thought for me Worcestershire was just going to be a lovely transition of what I've known the last 9 years, and how lovely the coaches and the playing staff, the playing group and the staff have been over the previous years. But yeah, this year for me is let's just say been a tough one, in a Rapid shirt, and yeah, one that I'm slightly, I guess, probably disappointed by the club by.
Of course, I mean, it's a long time to be in one place, and it all, I know, happened quite quickly, which probably made it a little bit more complex, both logistically and also to get your head around. But I guess on a more positive note, Northants.
Yeah, obviously went on loan to Northants for the remainder of the season, and yeah, what a successful season they had as well for their first year in Tier 2, and I guess pretty much they were a new team. They recruited players from all from the regional game academies, other counties, and they all come together, and I guess everyone just sort of clicked and performed, and it has that family feel how I felt at Worcestershire 9 years ago. So for me, it was really, really lovely. And I know the head coach, David Ripley, really well. We worked together in a coaching capacity over the previous years. And obviously, it's probably quite nice for him to, I guess, see me in a playing capacity as well, and sort of be trusted opening the batting or batting in the top 5, and keeping, after the setbacks I had at Worcestershire, keeping really well to my expectations towards the end of the season, and obviously to be in a semi-final position as well in the 50 over comp with them, and being able to help them get to the semi-finals, and unfortunately just missed out against the strong Glamorgan for the finals. But yeah, really, really enjoying, and hopefully that will continue next season. Obviously I won't give too much away at the moment, but yeah, Northants for me now, obviously where I live, I guess it's on a selfish aspect, it's less traveling as well. So yeah, obviously sad that I'll be leaving some of my best friends, I would class, or I made one of my bestest friends at Worcestershire in Jess, and obviously was a bridesmaid for her, and that just proves how cricket forms friendships for life. So yeah, obviously sad that we literally spoke about it the other day, that we played our last game of cricket together without even knowing it was our last game of cricket. So I think even for both of us, I think that was probably the hardest pill to swallow as well. But yeah, I mean, I obviously wish players well, and everyone well at Worcestershire. But yeah, that door's closing for the foreseeable, unless things change later down the line. But who knows? Obviously, I'm getting older in the game as well, and have to look at other career pathways and things like that. And that's one reason that I did step out of the professional game last year as well. So yeah, who knows? Obviously got career opportunity out here in Dubai with coaching cricket, and I think it's just going to open up loads and loads of other doors. And obviously got my job in a school back in the UK, heading up the girls cricket there. So yeah, loads of doors I think are going to open from this, I guess, sad exit from Worcestershire.
I'm excited for you to see what's next, and I'm sure our listeners will be too. We are still watching the cricket in the background like the complete and utter professionals we are. Don't be honest, you would be too. And we can confirm they are back on the pitch. It was a very brief rain delay.
I mean, obviously, yeah, just talking about the Worcestershire saga, and then all of a sudden I turn around and the cricket's back on. Yeah, so obviously Elise Perry's come out to bat after Alyssa Healy has departed after scoring her back-to-back hundreds. She is human after all.
It's sometimes hard to believe those Aussie cricketers are. On the note of Australia, we've done this a lot today. You're doing well with the transitions. The WBBL, the Women's Big Bash League at that, kicks off next weekend, Sunday the 9th of November. Is everyone playing? Everyone's playing. We've got a triple header. We have a triple header. And we've got a lot of English girls heading out to the WBBL as overseas representation. Borderline a ridiculous amount, and I'm going to run through them at record speed. Are you ready? Maddie Villiers is with Sydney Sixers. Danny Gibson and Amy Jones are with Melbourne Stars. Heather Knight is with Sydney Thunder. Freya Kemp and Paige Schofield are with Perth Scorchers. Tammy Beaumont and Sophie Eccleston are with Adelaide Strikers. Alice Capsey is with Melbourne Renegades. Danny Wire-Hodge, Nat Silverbrunt and Lindsay Smith are with Hobart Hurricanes. Boom.
Smashed it.
Whoop whoop. Very rare occasion.
Oh my God, I just swallowed. Oh my God. So basically, I keep getting bitten out here in Dubai, like mozzies and things like that. So I've just sprayed some Mr. Mozzie spray. And while you were reading it off, and I can just taste lemon and citronella in my throat now. I'm like, ugh, get off me.
You just inhaled it.
Yeah, and I was like, don't cough, don't choke. But yeah, obviously
That's me with my silverfish spray.
Yeah, literally, I was like,
with my silverfish infestation at uni, it's not a fun experience. We've got these sprays and we're like spraying under the door and stuff. And I keep inhaling this like insect spray and it's grim.
Yeah, this one literally it repels mosquitoes and biting insects up to 6 hours protection. So I hope it works because this is a new purchase today from Mr. Mozzie.
Come on, Missy. I can't even speak. Come on, Mr. Mozzie, don't let us down.
Yeah, but my legs, I've been bitten so much. So hopefully, this spray will keep them off me. We'll test it out today, and hopefully I don't get bitten anymore. But yeah, just going back to the WBBL, I guess it's great to see that there's quite a few domestic players who aren't England central contracts players. So obviously, Paige Schofield and Maddie Villiers. I was about to say Freya Kemp and Danny Gibson, but obviously they are both contracted players. I guess just obviously haven't been out on the park for England this year. So for me, all very good, strong performing domestic players, and hopefully they can obviously have an impact out in the WBBL.
I love the WBBL. I think it's probably still my favourite franchise tournament. I remember when I was growing up, waking up early to watch it on TV, as you do as someone who's obsessed with cricket. And yeah, it should be a really good tournament. We also, presumably soon, will start hearing murmurs about the WPL, the Women's Premier League in India, which will also be very interesting. It never stops. There's always, always, always cricket for you to watch, whether it's the establishment of the WBBL or the absolute whack of the Canada Super 60.
There's going to be women's franchise cricket pretty much monthly, I would imagine, over the next few years. We'll just start seeing it pop up in the calendar. And do you know what? I think that's an exciting place for the women's game to be in. And hopefully we'll start to see more domestic players have these opportunities in these franchise competitions. Obviously, we'll see the big names of our domestic players in the WPL and the WBBL and the 100. But these smaller franchise comps that we're seeing, like this Canada Super Smash and PSL, they've done like a trial run of a few franchise comps, but yeah, there's going to be loads. USA, I think, are looking to start one, and potentially out in Dubai as well. Obviously, we have the ILT20, the men's comp, and potentially in a few years' time, we might see a women's ILT20 as well.
On the note of excitement for the future, I think that is all from us today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you all very, very soon.
See you later.
Thanks for listening to this week's Two Tiers Deep. If you like to find me, Chloe Hill, you can find myself on Instagram with a new Instagram page covering this podcast at Two Tiers Deep CH. Or I'll pass you over Rosa to find herself at
Rosa Talks Ball. Or if you have any questions, you can contact us on rosatalksball@gmail.com. And please don't hesitate to get in touch.